Hey guys, welcome back. So today was actually supposed to be my first day back on the job. I've been off work for the last couple of months recovering from my injuries, but I showed up to work today and they sent me home. They haven't quite figured out yet what they're gonna do with me. I'm not gonna be doing the same job that I was doing for the last 2.5 years, and they're trying to minimize the number of people that they have in the building at one time. Makes sense. So I ended up with an unplanned day off, so I decided to film this video. I recognize that I have been shifting where I film these videos pretty much every single time, it seems like, and that's just because the furniture that I've been sitting in front of / on has been dwindling. Stuart and I are going through the process of getting rid of and selling and paring down on the amount of stuff that we have, putting the money that we make into renovations on the travel trailer and buying smaller items of furniture that will fit into the smaller space that we're going to be occupying. So that means that the couch that I was sitting on for my last few videos is gone now, and we did order another one, but the mail system and everything is so bogged down right now it hasn't shown up, so I am sitting here. I know that means that there is an ungodly echo in this room. There's just nothing for the sound waves to be soaked up by other than bare walls, so I know there is an echo, and I am so sorry if that's annoying. I hope it doesn't impair your enjoyment of this video too much. So, multi-level marketing. I know that this is not an original video thing for me to be doing. This is such a hot topic right now. It is very trendy. There are whole entire YouTube channels devoted to talking about multi-level marketing. There are podcasts, there are documentaries. It is everywhere. But you know, I think I'm okay with it because even though I realize I am bandwagoning by making this video, I think it's important that people are aware of this and know to avoid it. People are becoming more aware because of the amount of conversation around it, and I'm okay with throwing my hat in the ring and contributing to that conversation. That being said, before we dive in, I do want to give a quick disclaimer because I know I have friends on social media who are involved in multi-level marketing in some way, and I just want to make sure that I say that I do not think you are a bad person for being involved in these companies. People are not black and white, and the world is not simple, and I believe that you can be a good person while being involved in something that is unethical. And I know that that can be a complex thing to consider, but it's the truth. It's the way the cookie crumbles given the world that we live in. And I do not want this video to come across as me attacking you for being involved in something like this. That is not my intent whatsoever. And I can completely understand how someone could get sucked into something like this and want to believe that it is worthwhile and good, because it happened to me at one point, and we're gonna get into that in a little bit, but I wanna make sure I put that out there because even though these friends might not watch this particular video, they are for sure going to see the thumbnail whenever I post it on my social media. You should follow me, and I just want to make sure that I put that out there before we get any deeper. Multi-level marketing, the concept, the business, the topic is very multifaceted. There is a lot that goes into it, and I could spend a lot of time talking about it, but I mainly want to focus on my problem with multi-level marketing, why I personally am anti-MLM, and that is the unethicality and immorality of the business practice as a whole. I think it's important to put out there that, you know, something that I hear so often from people who are involved in these companies is this rhetoric and this idea that, well, it's not a pyramid scheme and it's technically legal, so what's the problem? Leave me alone, let me do my thing. And I think if you are a self-aware human being living in the world, you can recognize pretty easily that just because something is technically legal does not mean that it is also ethical. If you're supportive of movements like the fair trade industry or animal rights, this is a very easy thing for you to understand, and multi-level marketing cannot be exempt from our standards simply because it involves people who are very close to us, our friends and our family. Our ethics and our morality, our moral compass as people matters because it governs the kind of society that we live in. And unfortunately, multi-level marketing is probably one of the most unethical business practices out there, especially because it targets people who don't know any better and it takes advantage of people, and I have a major problem with that. Now, my personal experience with multi-level marketing has been pretty standard of what you'll see most people talk about. In fact, I don't even really think that I knew the term MLM or multi-level marketing until maybe a couple of years ago, but I was aware of these companies from the time I was a small child. I can remember my mother going to Tupperware parties hosted by her friends, and we even knew a lady at one point who sold for Mary Kay and was so successful selling for Mary Kay that she had the car and everything. I remember at one point, I think she tried to recruit my mom, but my mom has always been a full-time stay-at-home mother, and at that time she was a mother of 5, and she was just like, nah fam, I do not have the time for that, and that was basically the extent of it. But I remember having the magazines for Mary Kay products around the house, and it was a lot of fun to look through them. But even at that time, when I was 12 or 13, I remember thinking that these products were really, really expensive, and I can't imagine anyone having the money to spend on these expensive products. And that was really the extent of it up until I left home. But then when I was on my own and I was living overseas, I came across my next multi-level marketing company. And if you're watching this video, you're probably already very familiar with this company, and that is Beachbody. Now, there were plenty of red flags and warning signs that this was not something that I needed to be a part of. And looking back, I can see them all very clearly, but the fact is I was so young at the time. I was 19 or 20. I didn't know what I know now, and I wasn't as informed as I am now, and I didn't have the tools to go into this with my eyes open and know how to do my research and everything before I put money at something. And if I could go back in time and teach myself what I know now, I definitely would, but some things you kind of have to learn the hard way. And I had no idea what Beachbody was. I had never even heard of it. I came across an ad on Instagram, and this lady was recruiting for her downline, but I didn't know that's what she was recruiting for. She just said that she was looking for some girls who are passionate and motivated about health and fitness and wanted to help other people on their health and fitness journey. And I thought, hey, I like health and fitness, and I like helping people. This is like the perfect marriage of those two things. I can meet some people and make some friends and help people and maybe even make a little bit of money on the side, which would be kind of cool. When I looked at this woman's social media, it was spotless. It was so polished, so well done. She had been doing this for a while. It was pretty clear, and had built up a decent network around herself. She, I suppose you would say, was a success story for multi-level marketing. I don't know when she got into Beachbody, but I would have to imagine that it was relatively early on for her to have amassed the amount of following and money and the lifestyle that she portrayed. Of course, it could all be fake, but I tend to believe that it actually wasn't. And she definitely believed in Beachbody and believed in this whole multi-level marketing thing. She believed in her business, and she believed all of the facets and parts and pieces that go into being a part of an MLM, and she was there to sell it to us, man, let me tell you. So she added me to a Facebook group with a bunch of other people, and this is where the red flags started to come in. And I don't remember who posted it, if it was her or somebody else in the group, but I distinctly remember seeing a post where someone said that we should not, under any circumstances, Google or research Beachbody, and if we did, we should not believe anything that we see, because we're going to see articles claiming that it was a pyramid scheme and that it took advantage of people and that it was just a way to sucker people into buying an expensive product that didn't work and to essentially take people's money, and that we shouldn't believe them because it wasn't true and these were just false claims made by people who were jealous of the company's success and wanted to stop the company from being able to help people, which now, looking back on it, is obviously so phony and so fake. And if I heard that now, I'd be like, yeah, right, okay, adios. But at the time, I didn't know any better, and I was like,
okay, yeah, that sounds right, that makes sense.
The other thing, the other flag that I saw that honestly ended up being the straw that broke the camel's back later on down the line was I could not believe how much time and money went into making this thing work. The programs and the supplements, the Shakeology and everything that Beachbody has are not cheap. The programs that they're selling are programs like P90X and that kind of thing, but they sell them as bundles and as subscriptions, and they're really not cheap at all. We're talking well over $100, $150 and up for these products. And I could not see how anyone that I knew would have the money and the time to devote to something like this. The other thing was that when you got into the group, I thought we were going to be learning how to help people, how to coach them through these programs, how to set them up for success, but I saw very quickly that what it actually was about was showing us how to draw people in and use verbal judo to essentially guilt them into buying these expensive things that they really honestly probably didn't need. And that made me really uncomfortable because that felt very false and very fake to me, and it obviously is. I think I ended up spending about $150 to $170 towards this whole Beachbody thing, and I think I probably spent maybe a month and a half trying to make it work before I realized that there was just no way that this was going to work for me. I was working 12-hour shifts at the time and going to school full-time, so there was not a lot of leftover energy and time for me to devote to something like this. I wanted time to decompress, and being involved in something like this did not allow for that whatsoever. And the other thing was that the practices that they wanted us to employ to try to draw people in, the targeting of friends and family to try to get them to buy these products that we were selling, really made me uncomfortable. I really didn't like it, and it felt very false to me. So after about a month and a half, I deuced out and got rid of everything and called it a day. The amount of pressure that I had been feeling during the time that I was involved in this thing immediately evaporated. Did not regret my decision whatsoever, and I basically said never again am I getting involved in something like that. It is simply not worth my time. I am thankful that I got out of that when I did, and before I poured any more money into this thing, because I've heard horror stories from people who have been involved in it a lot longer and suffered a lot more financial loss than I did, and I shudder to think how much worse it could have been. Honestly, the idea of it just kind of makes me sweat. MLMs as a whole are just incredibly unethical. Their business structure is incredibly unethical, and I think one reason why people don't realize this sooner is because MLMs and these companies that are multi-level marketing companies put a lot of work into kind of prettying up and hiding their actual business model and what they're actually trying to accomplish, which is just recruiting people to buy more stuff, to pour money into this system. Nowhere else in the world will you find a business model like what you will find in multi-level marketing. In MLMs, you take on or you support through your purchasing of the company's product someone else taking on a type of financial risk that you would see nowhere else in the business world. If you participate in an MLM, you make money not only off of the people that you signed up, but off of the people that they signed up and the people that those people sign up under them. You make a commission off of every single sale, and you incur zero financial loss in that time. This is unethical because the independent agents in your downline take on all of the financial risk, all of the labor, and every ounce of strain, while you and everyone in your upline gets to sit back and just rake in the fruits of their labor. The business model as a whole is basically nothing but a scheme to continuously enroll distributors, and they disguise it as a company with a product to sell to the public, even though very little product is ever sold to anyone outside the business model. I think it should be pretty clear that this is an extremely unethical and immoral business practice, because in a normal business, if you want a share of the profits, you also have to take on a share of the financial risk. It's fair and even across the board, and you do not have that in multi-level marketing whatsoever. So it doesn't really end up mattering to me if the product that they have is really so great, which is something that I hear from people sometimes. Some people will be like, oh, well, I haven't ever signed up under the business, I don't sell anything for them, I have a friend who sells XYZ product and I buy it from them because it's really just so great. It doesn't matter to me that the product is so wonderful, because the business practice and everything that that product represents is unethical and reprehensible and takes advantage of people in a really dreadful way. I could never in good conscience support something like that. For me, that would almost be the same as buying a product that I know was produced using child slave labor, or because I believe in the ethicality of animal rights, buying an animal product that I know was the result of a factory farming situation. I just could never be a part of something like that and feel good about myself. There's a really interesting article that the FTC published, and I will link it down below in this video if you're interested. It's called Ethical Issues in Multi-Level Marketing. Is it a legitimate business or just another pyramid scheme? And the FTC very closely monitors a lot of these MLMs. They've gone toe to toe with some in the past. MLMs like Isagenix and Herbalife are just a couple that come to the top of my mind. But there is a part in the conclusion here that I want to read that I think is important. And if you are in the business industry in any way, particularly if you're studying business, I think this is worth taking note of. And even if you're not, even if multi-level marketing is just something that you find interesting, I think that this kind of sums things up really nicely, particularly when it comes to educating people on MLMs. It says, in this article, several ethical and legal issues were discussed which involve multi-level marketing. Because so many potential ethical problems exist in this industry, educators may be tempted to advise students to avoid multi-level marketing altogether. Is that really what should be done? Should students be told to skip the process of identifying and evaluating ethical issues in the marketing settings? Should students be taught to replace this process of ethical evaluation with the "they're all crooks" heuristic? To the contrary, direct selling provides a great framework for the classroom within which to evaluate ethical issues in marketing. If one were to systematically look at the ethical issues in any other area of marketing, they may be as plentiful as they are in direct selling. Any field that our students go into will have ethical issues they must be able to identify and evaluate. Marketing educators should be teaching students how to evaluate such ethical situations through real-life examples such as direct selling. If the best heuristic marketing educators can give students is "they're all crooks," then they are not adequately teaching students how to successfully navigate the minefield of marketing ethics. That's kind of just what I want to reiterate in all of this. It is so unfortunate that so many people get sucked into multi-level marketing, believing, like I did, that it's a worthwhile pursuit and that they're helping people and aiding people. I really do think that most people who get sucked into this kind of thing, that is exactly what they think. They aren't going into it with the idea that they're going to be making money off the backs of other people's labor. They really do think that they're going to be helping people, and that's honestly what's so heartbreaking. It's kind of a lose-lose situation for everyone. Everyone kind of ends up being taken advantage of and suckered into something fake. Unfortunately, multi-level marketing is a pretty good example of what not to do when it comes to talking about business practices. And the ethics behind what we do and why we do it are important. They do matter. It would be nice if we could ignore those things and just enjoy what we have and not think too much about it, not think too hard about where things come from or why things are the way that they are. But we can't do that. That's not the kind of world that we live in, and that wouldn't be honest or genuine as human beings. We owe better to ourselves and to the world that we live in, to our society. This is such a multifaceted topic, and there are so many avenues that I could take when talking about it and why I am against it, but honestly, at the end of the day, the ethics of it and the fact that it is so unethical and takes advantage of people is all the justification that I need to avoid it. And I would hope that if you're a decent human being who has empathy and cares about other human beings and their lives and livelihoods, then that would be all that you need as well. Like I said, I'll link that article down below. It's definitely worth a read. It's not very long and it's pretty interesting. I encourage you to do some of your own research. If you're sitting here trying to poke holes in the things that I'm saying, maybe skip leaving the nasty comment. I mean, you can if you want, if it'll make you feel better, but go out and do your own research. That was honestly what was the most eye-opening to me, because the numbers don't lie. And the fact that you have a better chance of winning the lottery than you do at being successful in multi-level marketing kind of says a lot. I hope that I clearly conveyed the points that I was trying to make in this video. I hope that I didn't offend anyone. I really just wanted to give some food for thought and kind of share my perspective on this whole thing, because I think it's so interesting and it's something that I'm very fascinated by. If you've had an experience with multi-level marketing, big or small, I'd love to hear about it. You can leave it in the comments below. If you would like to see another video on multi-level marketing, I know this is so hot right now and there's so many other people talking about it, but if you would like my opinion or take on something, make the suggestion and I will be happy to do that. I also want to note that I am finally getting through the backlog of all the outlines and everything that I had, and I'm getting to the point now where it's time to come up with new ideas and new concepts. So if there's a new video topic that you would like to see me cover, you can recommend that as well and I'll take it into consideration. But that is pretty much it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope that you will consider subscribing and giving this video a big thumbs up. I absolutely appreciate it. It means so much. Thank you for taking the time to pop over over to my channel, and I hope that I will see you again for my next video, whenever and wherever that may be. Bye guys.